speaking of Trump, CNN has now basically doubled down on the idea that Trump rallies are quote unquote super spreaders of COVID-19, but yet they haven't posted one headline about how riots, looting, and Black Lives Matter violent protests affect the COVID-19 outbreak. They've been doing this for a few months now, starting way back in June with the first rally that was here in Tulsa. They ran with the idea that his rallies would jump the COVID cases up by millions. It was going to be a huge deal. Millions of people would die because of it. Of course, that never materialized ever. But they've yet to report a headline talking about the thousands of people rioting in the streets of Minneapolis, Kenosha, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, New York. In fact, back in June, on the 24th, so just a few days after the Trump rally here in Tulsa, they had a headline: Black Lives Matter protests have not led to a spike in coronavirus cases, research says. I'd like to know what research they have, because I find it particularly piquant that thousands of people not socially distancing and for the vast majority not wearing masks. There are a few. Most of the mask wearing is stocking caps because they rob things. But I was unaware that, according to CNN, COVID-19 is a sentient being, that it can distinguish between Black Lives Matter riots and a Donald Trump rally. But it's not all on CNN, because I really haven't seen any news outlets mention this. So I decided that I was going to take a look at some of the numbers. And now, I'm no scientist, so I don't particularly want to portray like I am all science knowing. I barely passed it in high school. On June 15th in Oklahoma, there were 352 new cases that day. 2 weeks later, because they say this 14-day period that it could possibly take effect, so that's what I averaged it on, was 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, on July 3rd, there were 526 new cases. Okay. That's roughly about 174 new cases. Rounded to 175. Say 175 new cases in 2 weeks. Now, let's take a look at some of the BLM riots. Okay. So, August 24th was the first day of rioting in Kenosha after the shooting of Jacob Blake. There were 950 new cases that day. Okay, so it's significantly higher than Oklahoma already, starting off. But new cases, 950. 2 weeks, on September 7th, 1,498 new cases. 1,498 new cases. Okay? So while Trump's rally may have prompted 175 cases, the rioting in Kenosha may have prompted 548 new cases. Let's continue down the rabbit hole to Minneapolis. On May 26th, that was the first day of the Minneapolis riots, but it was ongoing for a few months and still is, to be technical. So I just picked a random day. I figured, why not the same day as the Trump rally? June 19th, right? Okay. June 19th, there were 348 new cases that day. Okay? And July 3rd, 2 weeks, just like the Trump rally, 2 weeks, 805 new cases. Now, for those of you that are like me that are not math wizards, I used a calculator, And that's 457 new cases since the same day in Minneapolis as the same day as the Donald Trump rally in Oklahoma. Are you seeing a bit of a trend here, folks? Trump rally, 175 extra cases. Black Lives Matter riots, 548 in Kenosha, 457 in Minneapolis. I'm sure if we wanted to take the time to see New York City, Chicago, Baltimore, LA, they would all probably be just as high, if not higher. So listen, if Democrat cities can allow rioters to push those kind of COVID numbers, then Trump can rally till his little toupee-wearing heart is content.